Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Jerry Maguire, founder of STARS, and I'm the host of our STARS podcast, STARS Speak, Understanding the Science of Stuttering, where voices are heard, understanding of stuttering grows, and awareness moves forward. Each episode features unscripted and honest conversations with researchers, clinicians, and individuals dedicated to advancing the science, treatment, and understanding of stuttering, a field that deserves greater attention, collaboration, and research. Today, I'm happy to be joined by my friend and colleague, Dr. Shahriar SheikhBahaei. And I just want to welcome you, Dr. SheikhBahaei, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Dr. Maguire. It would be a great pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, thank you so much. And Shahriar, just explain, how did you get interested in stuttering research? Well, before, what do you do? Like, where are you? And how did what is your role?
So I'm an assistant professor at Stony Brook University.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lab that we are trying to understand stuttering at the cellular and circuit level, just more detailed and what's happening at the cell, what brain cells do, and maybe from that angle we can come up to some explanation for this disorder.
Thank you. And your journey with this began how and when? How did you go down?
So my first memory of stuttering was from when I was 5 years old. I'm sure it started before that, but I don't have any memory of that. So I always was curious about why I stutter, why some people stutter, and then how we can stop it.
Yeah.
So for that, I thought that learning what brain works, the only opportunity would be to go to medical school. I started medicine in Iran, and then I got an opportunity to immigrate to the United States, and that was when I first met you. And we have been talking, and I was enrolled in a few of your studies as well. And around that time, I realized that maybe something that's missing in our field is knowing more at the cellular level, having animal model to test and probe the circuit to know what's happening in online.
Yeah.
Had an idea about astrocyte might be involved. With the current technology, it's impossible to study them non-invasively in humans, so we would need animal model to do that. So then that's why I changed some direction to research.
You did. And so you came here first from Iran. You were a young man then. Well, you're still young, but you're even a younger man.
Younger.
Yeah. So you were what, 18, 19?
So I was 25.
You were already 25. Okay. So you came over here. You first went to Berkeley, correct?
Yeah. I went to Berkeley to do my undergrad.
Yeah. And then from there, your journeys took you where?
So then I was to do my PhD, to learn more about astrocytes and the other circuit that was involved in speech, that's breathing. Mm-hmm. So in order for human and most species, for us to make sound, we have to coordinate it with exhalation. So this coordination was important to me. Mm-hmm. And then we didn't know much about the circuit that's involved in speech production or voice production in animal, but the circuit for breathing was known, and we had a lot of research on that. So I chose to do my PhD at the intersection of how astrocytes, they control another motor circuit related to speech. That's how they control respiration. So I went to a program that was a joint PhD program between a National Institute of Health (NIH) in the US and University College London in UK. Uh, and then since last January, I had a lab at NIH, and since then, my lab moved to Stony Brook University.
Got it. Well, it's great work, and I thank you for being committed to a condition that we both share. And with that, animals. So, what animal? What animals are you studying? And do animals really stutter, Doctor SheikhBahaei?
So we think, yes, but I don't think we have a good definition of stuttering in human.
Please explain.
So, I mean, stuttering in human, it has a heterogeneous symptoms, and it's very different from one person to another person. In each individual is different from uh, day to day. So I don't think we even have a universal definition for stuttering. As a person who stutter, I know when I'm stuttering.
You do, right? But we're not all the same, and
we are
so
not we are not
right.
all the
So
same.
therefore, are you finding that in your research that even with the genetics, it doesn't explain everything, or at
It
least part?
is, yeah. So even our mice that they supposed to have a similar gene. So in one term, they are homogeneous. They should be similar. Even in those, we are seeing a variation of their vocalization or even other motor tests that we do, which was interesting to us. So that wasn't what we expected.
Yeah.
So
So what is that? As a scientist, what could be the other explanation if it's not that gene and that gene, which is we can talk about that a little bit, but that the genes don't explain everything. What else could it be?
So I I think we are, as we discussed many times, we are dealing with subtypes here, and then this gene might have some effect in other genes, other circuit, other organs other than the brain, or something else like inflammation, some autoimmune reaction that you described in a case report in 2010, and we have another review paper from Per Olm to expand that. So those could be some subtype, and another subtype could be in a group that show accumulation of iron that we are going to talk today. So
Right.
that could be another subgroup that
Right.
we might deal with.
Or the others where there seems to be like seizure activity potentially.
It does, yeah, yeah.
And
So,
so, yeah,
and I believe we should remember that brain is a physical organ, and the key determination of its function is related to its physiology, not its capability to information processing. So anything that would change the physiology of the brain could affect its function, and that's why I believe with I mean, as little as we know about this condition and the genetics, all of those point toward a biophysical, neurobiological explanation for stuttering, and that if we change the physiology, we should affect that.
we should. Right. And as you bring forward that, the brain is really our most complex organ. Am I correct on that? It
It
is.
is, yeah.
Yeah. I always try to tell my medical student, John, easy to understand career, please be a cardiologist. Right. Because honestly, a dog's heart is similar to ours. Kidneys the same.
Uh-huh.
But the brain, very complex. And speech requiring cognitive, motor coordination
Mhm.
may be one of the most complex activities of the human brain. Am I correct on that?
It is, yeah. It is the most complex behavior that we have. Even if we exclude all the cognition, all the sensory processing, everything else, just focusing on the motor behavior, just movement of the muscle, it's estimated that about 100 muscles in the body, they should work together, and that's the most complex motor behavior that we have. I mean, as a comparison, when we hold a pen and write something, it's about 52 muscles. So
It is. It is. It isn't. Yeah. So and you bring up the different subtypes, which is it. So uh, so you have developed, right, and you've been able to work with this animal model. What animal model is this, and could you explain what we mean by an animal model?
so traditionally, animal models has been used to understand what would be the effect of a mutation that's been discovered in human. That's the best model because we can see the effect online. It's not like in a dish or in a computational model, because none of those can make sound. So in this way, uh, one of the first gene that was discovered by Dr. Drana was these genes that are involved in lysosomal targeting pathway. One of them is the gene called GNP-TAB. So the name is not important, but its function is like it like add a stamp or add a zip code to some protein that's supposed to end up in a organelle called lysosome, and the function of that organelle is to waste management and recycling. I mean, it was surprising that how a mutation in a gene that does this non-specific function could have this profound effect of a change motor behavior. That was the main question. So what Dr. Drana and colleague did, they made a mouse model for that, and uh, their work and our work, it suggests that the vocalization of the mouse is different. We should note that human speech is unique to human and is different from any vocal behavior in any animal. So we didn't expect to have stuttering in mice to have similar phenotype than stuttering in human. But the fact that changing a base pair in a gene, that's a mild mutation in a gene, would affect human speech and affect mouse vocalization was very promising. So now we have an animal model that has different in vocal behavior and also other motor behaviors as well. Like respiration in this animal is different. Other repetitive behavior that animal do, that's grooming behavior, is different. The male mice, these mutant animal are hyperactive, and we know hyperactivity is one of the other symptoms that occurs a lot in people who stutter. So all of those behavioral symptoms suggest that maybe we have a reliable animal model.
Right. So when you talk about hyperactivity, for those listening, they might be thinking ADHD, right? Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, right? And with the grooming, are you saying there's like something when as a clinical psychiatrist, as a physician who treats patients with these, I think of grooming, some of the conditions that were affect that one in a human, maybe like OCD.
Uh-huh.
Does that what you mean by that? Like something in that? You have
So
other,
in mice behavior, grooming, excessive grooming has been used as a symptom for OCD. But in these mice, we don't see excessive. It's slightly longer, but more importantly, the animal makes error. So grooming, it has a defined stages in mice. They always start from the nose, face, ear, and the body. But the stuttering mice, they makes a lot of mistakes. So they start from the nose and then they go to body, or they start from the ear. We count those mistakes, and then it's also another symptom that they cannot keep a sequence of activity. That's similar to speech. In speech, we have a sequential movement that has to be normal. And it's been hypothesized that also that in human, the ability to speech and our fine motor behavior, they evolve at the same time. So we think maybe looking at hand movement in mice and its focalization because of the similarity in the circuit might also helpful for us to understand this condition as well.
Got it. So you're able to say now the data that Dr. Drina was able to get, right? Because he went to families that expressed this, right? What that lysosomal storage gene, what percentage of say persons who stutter may be affected by that? As we have some idea, right?
Yeah. So according to their calculation, and considering all the four genes that they discovered in that pathway, it's estimated that up to 20% of population can be explained by that mutation. But again, that's up to. So
so we got to think that at least 80% something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So it brings back to what we spoke about earlier, that stuttering is a complex condition.
Mhm.
And it's not, symptoms may sound similar between, we might get stuck on words, we might repeat those words, we might have coexisting ADHD commonly and other things, but the treatments aren't going to be the same because the causes aren't the same.
The causes would be different. In that regard, a great paper published, I think 2 weeks ago, and they looked at common symptoms in people like irritable bowel syndrome, and those type of syndrome. And then they looked at genetics of the patient, and they found out that some of those patients with common symptoms, they have different rare mutations. So that suggests that different mutation in the body or brain could have symptoms that could be very similar to other common symptoms, and we might dealing with something similar here because speech is very complex, the circuit is complex, a lot of regions are involved. So anything that changes the timing, the connectivity, could lead to similar symptoms.
Right. Or could it also be an environmental exposure or influence can activate or deactivate a gene? Am I correct?
For sure, yes. Yeah. And we have a critical period in our development when the circuits are developed, when we have pruning of excessive projections. Any changes during that time would have a lot effect on the function of the brain as well. And that the peak of that stage correlate with the starting of symptoms in human as well. And a lot of environmental factor could affect that process.
Mm-hmm. And those environmental factors, could you just maybe say a couple of what could be?
So one thing could be infection, for example, that might generate some antibodies in the body, and some of those antibody might attack the cells, the brain cells. That could be the most common one, as you also described that before as well. And because the cause is very different, the cure or treatment would be also different as well.
And could this also explain when we get back to a clinical standpoint, right, where we try one approach, but we're not seeing an effect across everyone? What does that do to what we understand? For instance, like how easy is it to find one effective therapy that's going to work in a significant percentage of persons?
I think it would be very difficult in this case because the behavior is very complex. So one treatment fits all certainly will not work here. So I believe the best option would be to somehow identify biomarker, and based on those we can identify subtypes. And hopefully starting with treatment of subtypes, it can lead us to a future that we can have personalized treatment for
Right. And that, so
for
for
every.
other people listening, right, that's how our major advancements in, say, in oncology and cancer care have come from understanding what type of cancer and then targeting that, what we call a personalized approach toward the care. And I think this is where stuttering needs to go and what STARS is going to support as we get to this personalized treatment,
Mhm.
but based upon research that you're developing and others, which I think is really interesting. I want to. What's the latest work that you've done? I know you've just had an e-publication, something about iron. Could you explain that a little bit more for us and what that is?
Sure. So our previous work suggested that there might be some metabolic imbalance in the brain of our mice. So we started to checking some of those markers. Iron is one of those markers. So when we stained for iron, we saw significantly higher iron in areas linked to motor function in the brain of our mice. Around the same time, two excellent paper published from Martin Sommer in Germany and Kate Watkins in UK, and they also show the same phenotype in humans. So we thought, okay, so we are halfway on track. So then we dig a little bit deeper to know which cells accumulate iron. So we did histology staining, and we also did electron microscopy, which we could directly visualize iron molecules. And with those, we found out that in fact this is astrocytes, the star-shaped non-neuronal cells in the brain that accumulate the majority of the iron. And I mean, at the beginning, we were surprised that with this much iron that we are seeing in the brain of our animals, cells cannot survive. That has been shown, for example, in Parkinson's disease, that in by age cells start to accumulate iron, and neurons that accumulate iron, they die. But we were surprised that first we didn't see any sign of cell death. We didn't see any huge differences in the animal's behavior. And with that finding that in fact this is astrocytes that accumulate iron, not neuron,
Right.
that was, I think, important here, because this might explain that why we are seeing this heterogeneity in each person as well. So as a person who stutter, my stuttering would be different from today or tomorrow. But there are some times that I can speak completely fluent, especially when I'm alone.
Yeah, right.
So that suggests that the fundamental circuit might be intact, and the uh, deficit might be in other cells that modulate the activity of that circuit, and astrocytes are the main modulator in the brain. So it was promising for that hypothesis, and could this could be a subtype of people who stutter that might accumulate iron in the astrocytes. And then we said, okay, so what will happen if we try to decrease the iron level? So we tried iron chelation treatment, a drug that decreased the iron level in the brain in a very small dose. And surprisingly, we saw improvement in animal vocalization behavior and other motor behavior.
Interesting. So you bring this forward that the circuit is intact, and you say that because there are times we're fluent,
We are
right? And they're right. So from a therapeutic standpoint, does that mean we just say, for instance, you got all the parts in the car, but you just got to hook them up, or you got to make sure that the fuel system's cleaned out, or
Mhm.
does that potentially easier to develop a therapy than something that's anatomical and it's not there?
For sure, yes. Uh, but our data in this mouse again suggests that we have uh, two separate deficit in the brain. So first, the the anatomy of the brain is slightly different. So it's not that, for example, we are missing a big portion of the brain.
Right.
It's like the circuit that's supposed to go in one direction, they go to another direction. We think even those small changes would have effect on the behavior. But on top of that, we have a deficit in astrocyte in the cells. And we think both of those are required to for us to see the symptoms. Uh, I'm using blue sky, and I've seen a lot of MRI of the patients on blue sky, accidental finding that the person uh, doesn't have a big portion of the brain, and the function of the body is normal. These are
Yeah,
all accidental findings.
it is. So can I go back at just so our listeners understand astrocytes versus neurons? Neurons, could you explain the difference? What is an astrocyte? You said that's, and how does that support the circuit, et cetera? Could you maybe explain that a little
So
bit?
probably the best explanation that I have for astrocyte, they might function as a dimmer switch, that it can activate and control the activity of the neuron. So we can change the light intensity with that.
Got it. And
Uh,
the neurons are themselves form the circuit. Am I correct?
form the circuit, yeah. Because processes of the astrocytes are much shorter compared to neuron that can send processes all the way to the muscles in the hand, in the foot, and all the way. But astrocyte, they also do other functions. They also help with keeping the maintenance, removing of the waste product. They can also sense some changes. For example, they can sense the level of oxygen in the brain. They can sense uh, uh, pressure in the blood as well. They can sense level of CO2 or hydrogen, and based on those, they can decrease or increase perfusion of the blood in a region of the brain that needs more supply of energy, or it can decrease that as well. So they have a astrocyte. They have more complex function in the brain, and our work suggests that they can directly affect motor behaviors.
Right, I understand. Right. And you and I had published an article together about post treatment with the dopamine antagonist, and maybe that role, seeing an increase in the striatal function,
Uh-huh.
linking that to astrocytes. Is there a way that maybe you can explain that for everyone to understand what we meant by that?
So, I mean, traditionally, astrocyte has been viewed as a support cells, that they are passively involved in functioning of circuit. But recent data showed that they have all the properties that neurons have. One is, for example, the receptors, and uh, some of these medications that you used, and specifically in that paper, we were targeting dopamine in the brain. So astrocytes also, they express dopamine receptor. So it's possible that, for example, in a subgroup of people who stutter, uh, dopamine receptor in astrocytes are not functioning well. And then when we affect astrocyte function, we would see the effect on uh, neuron, because a- astrocytes, they provide energy to neurons. They regulate blood flow to the area. And when a neuron become active, for example, when we want to speak, the area of the brain that wants to have that activity, we should have increase in blood flow in that area. So those are controlled by astrocytes. So it makes sense that if we have a deficit in astrocytes, we would see symptoms that traditionally attribute to neurons. But again, that would be a subtype of people, and other subtypes are possible.
Right. I think as our theme today is like stuttering is a heterogeneous condition.
Uh-huh.
We are diverse as a group of people who stutter, and therefore the presentations, eventually the forms of treatment and therapy
Mhm.
are going to need to be personalized as well.
Exactly, yes. And I think considering other brain cells like astrocyte, microglia, and other non uh, neuronal cell will equip us with more tools to address this heterogeneity.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dr. SheikhBahaei. I want to thank you also your vision in the founding of STARS. I want to thank you for your vision and your support as a founding member, actually a founder of STARS with me. Where do you want to see STARS be 5 years, 10 years from now? And how is it that you've taken on this role as an advisor and a founder with us?
So first, I like to. I mean, I've we discussed this. I mean, I believe that ideas are not that important. They are cheap. We all of us, we had this hope, this vision that we could have a society that focuses on the treatment based on neuroscience research. And what you did, and what you brought this hope to life, was extraordinary for all of us. I'm happy to contribute in any way that I can. I like that the way that we move forward to identify to look at this disorder from different angles, at the core, from the cellular level to the behavior level. The work that we do in the lab is just a marathon. It's very slow. It might take years to uh, translate to any meaningful treatment in human, if it does. So I believe champions like you are required in the field to take this approach that you are doing, and test other drug based on the hypothesis that we know from uh, neuroscience. It gives us people more option to choose from, and also it gives us a mechanism to understand this disorder more, to know more about the circuit, to know more what if we increase the dopamine level or decrease it in the brain, what will happen. So these are also valuable information that we can get, because frankly we don't know how we speak. The circuit is very complex. So uh, and I hope that the work that we do in STAR will lead us to someday we could first understand how human species we speak, and then how we can uh, treat effectively speech disorders, including stuttering.
Thank you, and you're right there. You're leading the way. I want to thank you so much. Our goal as well too for STARS is bring in other minds, other disciplines into our field and generate excitement about understanding stuttering and moving paths forward. And I thank you for that. This is for our audience today. This is season 1, episode 1 with Dr. SheikhBahaei. He will be back. And we're going to continue to move forth with our Star Speaker podcast. I want to, thank you so much today for you joining us. If there's anything else that you want to say to our audience as we close, and then I'll kind of tell people how they can join us here at STARS as well.
Yeah, I think it's a great society. At least people can follow up with the society, register to get updates with email. I believe science will bring us hope, and that will lead to some effective treatment.
I agree. As we gain more understanding of science, stigma goes down, understanding goes up, education grows.
Mhm.
All of our lives will be enriched from that, not
Yes.
just those of us who stutter.
Exactly. And thank you for having me here. It was a great pleasure to speak to you again.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. SheikhBahaei. We will have you back again, season 1, episode 1 with Dr. SheikhBahaei. He will be back. So if you have a question or topic you'd like us to cover, just get in touch with us. Visit us on our website and our Get in Touch page, and we'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe, follow, and rate the STARS podcast, STARS Speak, Understanding the Science of Stuttering, to help us reach more listeners and grow awareness about the condition of stuttering. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.